So I just literally had like a mental breakdown in my class, destroyed my mask. My mask is like covered in tears. So I don't even know what to do. I'm actually just gonna go back to Fletcher's room and I'll talk about it when I get there.
Okay, alright. It's about time.
In a minute, I'm gonna need a...
What happened?
Okay, Lemmy. Okay, so I'm gonna try to summarize it very quickly about what happened. Basically, I was in class and I already knew that the material I wasn't gonna understand. Got me coughing during my explanation. I already knew that I wasn't gonna understand the material because I missed a week of class. And then my teacher singled me out and tried to ask me to answer a question that he had asked, and I was like, I don't really know what you're talking about. And then he decided to try to dumb it down a little bit and asked me more questions, and I still didn't understand. And then he kind of gave me a multiple choice setup question, and I was like, it's major. And he was like, okay, great, how did you get there? And I was like, I guessed. And I think this is when he started to get like very actually frustrated, because he's kind of like, I've been teaching all this time, how does she not know anything? And I get like, that's what I don't know what he was thinking in his mind, but in my mind I kind of felt like that was what was giving off. I felt like I could not ask any questions because this man expects me to know like everything and I know nothing. It didn't feel like a very welcoming environment to ask questions or to learn anything. I had questions, I just was afraid to ask them because I knew I was gonna start crying, which very quickly happened after he tried to break down even further, and he was like, okay, well, what's the difference between major, minor, augmented, and diminished? And I was like, they have like, you know, different sharps and flats and stuff, and I don't know. So I can't even tell you right now. And I guess he got even more frustrated. So then he was kind of just like, what is a major triad? And I was like, he was like, what is like a C major triad? I don't know what the letter was, but let's just say it was C major triad. And I was like, C, D, E, F, G. So it would be C, E, G. And I know it's C, G, I think. I don't know. But basically, I said something. Maybe it was like B, E, F, B, B, C, B, C. Clearly I don't know because I still can't explain it right now. But basically I said the answer wrong. And he was like, no, it is not that. And so then I started to be like, oh. And so then I started crying because I was like, this man just yelled at me. And so I started crying. And then I was like, please, can you just like move on to the next person? Because after about 5 minutes of trying to get the answer, I felt overwhelmed and I felt like I was being singled out, and I felt like he was just talking to me and I wasn't retaining anything that he was saying. And once I started crying, I knew it was over. The funny thing is, later in the class period, he came back to me, and because he was talking about who knows what with the classwork, and he came back to me and he called on me, and I was like, I did not even try. I was just like, please move on to the next person, because I was still crying and hyperventilating and my whole mask was filled with snot. So I was like, I cannot even think right now, please move on to the next person. So then after class I'm like leaving, I'm like still crying. I did not even talk to that man. This is the second time he made me cry, by the way. And I was talking to one of my peers, and they were like comforting me and being like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, this was hard. This was like, and so they reassured me. Actually, they were like, you know, actually he's not a great teacher. And I was like, yeah, I know, like he doesn't really teach anything. And they're like, yeah, I cried a lot over this class. Actually, I got a tutor, and that's why I'm doing so much better now, is because I'm doing tutoring and I'm doing all this stuff outside of class. And so that's when I came to the conclusion that I have to teach myself the class. I'm relying so heavily to be taught in class. But isn't that what I came to college for?
You did.
To be taught in class.
Yep.
To be taught. I feel like he's trying, but he's just not doing it very well. And so I've been trying so hard outside of class to learn theory so that I can understand what he's talking about when I get into class. Because I feel like it's so like he's always saying stuff like, oh, you don't have to do this outside of class, we're going to talk about it when we get back into class. No, I do have to do stuff outside of class, because when I don't do stuff outside of class, I come back and I don't know what you're talking about. Because we've established in the previous clip that this man has a doctorate.
Yep, he does.
So I think it's not that he's not a bad musician, and he's not a bad... He knows what he's talking about. He knows the theory. He knows the music. He knows everything that he's talking about. It's just, I don't think he knows how to teach. I don't think he knows how to communicate it to a beginner. And what's crazy is he's been a teacher for so long. Like, I mean, I don't know how long he's been a teacher, but this is his first semester at this school. But he said he taught at other places. And I don't know. I thought he didn't know what he was talking about from the beginning. So I mean, he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't know how to communicate it to people who don't know what he's talking about. Anyways, I just don't want to fail this class. And I just want to make it clear that I wasn't crying because I don't understand the material, because I never understood the material, because he doesn't know how to teach. I was crying because he yelled at me.